So welcome back. Let's have a look now at how we're actually going to implement Salesforce at Certified Technology. So we're not just going to jump straight in and start building right away. We've got to do a bit of planning at the start. And this is our planning out our implementation strategy. Now there's a number of stages that this planning process goes through. So let's have a look at what they are. The first one is planning, followed by analysis. Next we come into design, and then we can actually start to do the build. Once we've built the components that we need to do some testing to make sure it does actually work the way that we expect. Finally, we can deploy those changes into the production environment, and then we start the cycle all over again, so we keep on maintaining the deployment that we've done, so that the system keeps fresh with current changes to the business. Now, at the end of each one of those stages, there are some things that we need to deliver. So at the end of the planning stage, we need to deliver a business case. So this outlines why we're doing the project, what it's going to cost, what the benefits are, and more importantly, what we're not going to do. So we need to be very clear what's in and what's out. We also need a governance framework. Now this is a group of people, or a number of groups of people, that is going to manage the project. Who do we report to? Who makes the decisions? That's the governance body. And so we build a framework around that. So from time to time, when we're reporting on the progress of the project, we report back to this governance body. And when there's decisions to be made, which direction do we go? We've got 2 or 3 choices. Which way does the company want to go? It's that governance body that makes those decisions for us. Next, we have an engagement plan. How are we going to engage with the people within the company? When do we talk to the salespeople? When do we talk to the back office order processing people? When do we talk to logistics? When do we talk to the CEO? What do we talk to them about? So how do we engage with the business? And finally, our release management strategy. How are we going to release Salesforce to these users? Are we going to build everything and then have one big release? Well, in fact, I've already given you a clue to that. No, in fact, in this company, we're going to provide 10 different releases. So it's going to be an agile, staged release cycle. So that's the outputs of our planning stage. Once we've got that down pat, we go into analysis. So we're looking at the business requirements. And at the end of this stage, we're going to have an approved set of business requirements. So what does the business need to do? And I've already given you some clues to that through some of the problems. So they need to be able to track opportunities in progress so that we can produce a sales funnel. Another output of the stage is approved functional specification. So we've got those business requirements. How do we map those out into functional requirements? And then let's prioritize those and exclude those things that are not going to be included. So at the end of this stage, we've got those approved business requirements, functional specifications, and our priorities, and we know what's in and what's out. So we can now move on to the design stage, where we're actually going to design the system, how it's going to work, and at the end of that, we've got an approved solution design. So when we say approved, that means we're going to be taking them back to that governance body to say, this is the design we've come up with. Do you approve this, yes or no? Can we move on now to the build stage? And during that build stage, we're actually going to build our code, do the configuration, install any apps that we need, build our reports and dashboards. So we're going to build the complete system. Now, given that we're doing this in 10 different stages, we're going to actually have 10 build sections in our project. As we get through that design and the build stage, at the end of that, we're going to then perform some testing to make sure that what we set out to build at the start of that phase is actually working as required. So testing comes straight after the build, before we can move on to the next step, which is actually deploy that code. So move that into production, ready to go. We then deploy that into production and have a review once it's in production, just a final check, make sure everything's ready to go. Part of that deployment stage also includes delivering the user training as well. Now that may be delivered in the production environment in a very small organisation, or you may have a separate environment where you can deliver the user training. So what's typically called a UAT environment, user acceptance testing environment. Finally, once we've gone through all that and that new release is in production, we need to then improve upon that and go on to the next step. And as I've already outlined, we'll actually be doing this 10 different times. So we'll be building functionality, improving step by step as we go. So let's get stuck into the implementation strategy.